Hey, it's Brianna. I'm here for Triumphant Tuesdays. This week we're going to be talking about questions you should ask yourself when you're in recovery or thinking about recovery to help you achieve recovery and help you to be more honest with yourself. I actually do this all the time, so I really like this topic. I call them honesty checks, and I do it once a week, and I try to ask myself really hard questions about something if I'm struggling with it, and it helps me figure out my problems and be more honest and ultimately be a more authentic person, which is definitely what we're going through here. And I'm sorry if I keep looking down at my phone, but these questions are awesome, so I want to make sure I get to all of them. But one question that wasn't on here that I want to start with is, why do I want to recover? I think you should answer that. Write down that question and write down your answer. And I know ultimately we should all want to recover for ourselves, but sometimes you can't do that right away. And it is true that recovery probably won't last if you recover for something else or for someone else, because ultimately it has to be for yourself. But if you're starting recovery, any reason is good enough to recover. Wanting to recover is a great thing, so any reason that you want to recover is great, and you should write that down. There was this tag going around on YouTube several years ago that I watched called My 40 Reasons, and basically girls would just list out 40 reasons with pictures of why they wanted to recover. But 40 reasons is a lot, so I really want you guys to list out 5 reasons that you want to recover, and they can be anything, like I said. Any reason is a great reason. Write down anything you want. Recovery isn't easy. If it were, everyone would be recovered or in recovery, and that's a reason why a lot of people aren't. It's not easy. It's extremely difficult. So if you can write down 5 reasons that you want to recover, when you do struggle or question it or think that it's too hard, you can go back and look at those and remind yourself of why you're going through this hard process or why you're changing something really important in your life. Because change is hard, but ultimately change makes us better people because it allows us to grow. So I would really encourage you guys to write down 5 reasons as to why you want to recover. The next question is, what do you want to change? And the most obvious answer is, I want to change my eating disorder, but we have to break it down a little more than that. It's kind of like, what habit could I most change? Or I like to think of it as, what can I do today to start moving in a positive direction so that tomorrow will be better? And it can be a really small goal, and I'm not going to use an example just because it's different for everyone, and sometimes using like food examples can be triggering, so I don't want to be doing that. But recovery is individual and it's going to be different for everyone. But if you really think about it, I'm sure that you can find like one thing that you can do differently that will help you move in a positive direction towards being recovered ultimately. And that leads into the next question, what can I easily do differently? So like my suggestion is to take really small steps. Like that worked for me, is to pick one thing that you can change, just one, and write it down and journal about it and commit to changing it for just like 1 week. Get used to it, or 2 weeks, or however long you need. And then when you get comfortable with that, you can add something else to change so that you can become a better person. Letting go of your eating disorder isn't just about letting go of the behaviors. It's about becoming a better person and becoming a more authentic person, because eating disorders hide a lot of who we are. So, I mean, nothing is easy to change, but if you really challenge yourself, I'm sure that you can find one thing that you could do differently to help yourself. And the next question is, what's stopping you from doing that one thing differently? But I kind of like to think about it as, what's stopping you from wanting to recover? Or what's stopping you from doing that one thing differently? What's stopping you from changing? And I know that's such a loaded question, and like I said before, the answer is going to be different for everybody. But if you honestly think about it, like, and this is another thing you should write down, like, why do I have an eating disorder? Like, what purpose does it serve? And why am I using it? And what am I hiding from? And I know that's super hard, and maybe you should do this with your therapist. That'd probably be an excellent idea. Because I'm pretty sure like answering a really tough question like that should be done with a therapist or a support person or anybody really, but as hard as it is, it's really important that you try to figure out at least a little bit why you're using your eating disorder and what it is, the purpose that it's serving, and why it's hard for you to recover. Like, it's going to be hard anyway, but if you can answer like some of the reasons that you have an eating disorder, it's easier to recover because you can focus on fixing some of those problems. But maybe definitely do that with a therapist or a support person or somebody. And even if it's a really hard question, like, I challenge you to do it because I know it will really help. And another question is, what do you need to do to achieve freedom? What do you need to put in your life? What do you need to take out of your life? Is there anything that you can do that will make achieving freedom easier? That goes into my next question. Who are your supports and how can you best use them? And I talked about this in my intro video if you watched it, but I mean, my recovery wasn't completely traditional, but just think about all the people that support you, whether it be your parents, your friends, a therapist, a doctor, someone at your church, anyone, and think about who you could possibly reach out to and use them to the best of your ability. Maybe someone said they'd be there for you and you have their number but you haven't called them yet. Maybe you could call them. Just using whatever you have, whatever support you have. And it doesn't matter if it's not a therapist or not a doctor. Definitely use those if you can. But don't discount your friends and the people that are around you. Because recovery will work if you make it work. You just have to get a little creative with it. And try to use all your supports to the best of your ability. Like, write down ways that you could get more support. That will really help you. And just try to work with what you got and stay positive. You can do anything if you put your mind to it, and a lot of people are out there to help, including any of us. You can always, put a message in our inbox and we'll answer. So that can help you too. But just be sure to really think about all the support in your life that you have, and then you can think of ways that you can use them to most benefit you. And another question is, what are the most toxic elements in my life and how do I get rid of them? And that makes me think of something from my life. Like I talked before in another video, I used to be part of this online forum and it would help people and things like that, but I had to step away from it because I got to a point where it was very harmful to me. And I've had friends that I was doing better in recovery and they weren't, or we both were doing really bad. You really have to examine your friendships, as hard as it is. And as I've said in other videos, protect your recovery at all costs. And I mean, it's hard to determine whether something's completely healthy or not, because a friendship can start out really healthy and end up bad, or start out really bad and end up really healthy. Like, I actually met my best friends and I didn't even know she had an eating disorder when I met her, but we both had them pretty severely at the time. But now we're friends and we never talk about that. Like, we're recovered. And our relationship, when we first started hanging out and we found out about each other's eating disorders, definitely was not healthy. But she's my favorite person in the world, and I've been friends with her for 7 years, and it's amazing. So just be careful of who's in your life, and it can eventually turn out good. Like, you could have somebody harmful in your life that, when you guys get better, it could end up great. That happened to me. But it's sometimes really hard to set boundaries. For that online forum, I just had to say, this isn't healthy for me and it isn't helping me. And if I help you, then like I said before in other videos, like, I'm not acting in my best interests. So if I'm not acting in my best interest, like, obviously I'm not a good example and I'm not encouraging you to act in your own best interest. So if something's really not healthy for you, like, you need to find some way to step away from it, as hard as that might be. And I'm not saying it's easy, because it's definitely really hard. Like, I had to tell several friends, like, I'm not healthy enough to support you, or you should get a therapist for that or something. But I mean, I want to protect my own recovery. I mean, I've been recovered for years, but I mean, relapse is something that I still think about, I guess, because I'm scared of relapsing, which I should be. Like, relapse would be horrible at this point. But, you know, always protect your recovery. Like, put that first, because, like, I'm a YouTube vlogger. I'm part of WeRFreEDomFighters, so I encourage you guys to act in your own best interest. So I need to make sure I'm doing that. So I stay away from negative things, as hard as it might be. And if you're having trouble with that, maybe you could ask another friend to help you, or you could have a conversation with somebody to decide if something's healthy for you or not. But, I mean, if you really think about it, I'm pretty sure you can decide whether a certain action that you do or a friendship is healthy, and always keep in mind that you can return to those things when you're better, and that boundaries are temporary and they don't have to be permanent, but always act in your own best interest, and that will help you remove toxic influences from your life and will help you recover. I hope that what I said was helpful. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a great day. Talk to you next week. Bye.